welcome everyone to the Touhou Project Panel, Beautiful Bulletstorm 2013. I'm your hostess, Tori.
My name is Toby White, he comes from Vincent.
But yes,
it's a little loud.
So let's get started. So who here is new to the series? Alright, we've got some people. How about, how many people do we have here that has beaten any of the games? How many people here has beaten all the Windows games?
All of them.
All of the games, including PC 98.
Does easy mode count as winning the game?
Easy modo? Come again?
Good. Proper response. What is easy mode?
An intro violent sequence!
Alright, let's get into it. So what is Touhou? The burning question.
Yes, please speak about Touhou.
Well, Touhou is the company that makes Godzilla. Yes, but that's not why we're here. We're talking about a different Touhou. So. But yes, well, we're going to do a quick, just a brief introduction, and then we'll get right to the meat of it. We'll do some fandom stuff. We'll do, I'm sure a lot of you are interested in what happened during AWA. We have two of our panelists here. We're actually there and actually met Zoom. And we've got some new segments, and we've got some trivia this year. And this year we have, well, actually it's the first year we've done trivia. We have hockey as prizes, like entire boxes of hockey.
I wasn't there.
But yes, briefly, Touhou, it has the characters for, it means Eastern in Japanese. Each game in the series has those two characters at the beginning of the title for each game. It is essentially a series of doujin games. It started off as games similar to Breakout, and then it evolved into top-down shooters, and now it's various things like photography games, fighting games, whatever you call Hopeless Masquerade. Fighting game?
I call Hopeless Masquerade Psychic Force. Look it up.
But yes, and over the last several years, the fandom just exploded. Hello, Aaron.
Oh, I made it. Just for you.
Thank you.
I can't see it because I'm getting my hair wet.
So in summary, Touhou is this, and it's this, and a little of this, and this too. Also kind of this. It might be easier to show you.
Is it true that a skilled Touhou player can walk out in the rain and not get wet?
Yes, it's true. I've seen it. Alright, where is this? Alright, so suggestions for games? Alright, let's see. I'm hearing Eternal Night. Everybody hear Eternal Night? Everyone for Mountain of Faith?
UFO! You guys suck!
Oh yeah!
Everyone for UFO?
We're doing UFO.
We're doing UFO. So, do we have a victim?
I'll do it.
All right.
Let's see.
Yeah, you with the red gloves? Yeah.
We don't have any controllers.
Do it with your gloves on. Use your Uber to make yourself invulnerable. Can we start the difficulty? Do it,
They shoot a lot more bullets than you. You can also collect these power-up items that increase your strength. And you can also collect UFOs, which summon UFOs. After that, I'm not sure why it's
Let's get Touhou fighting up there.
That is a terrible idea.
I volunteer. That's the Hunger Games.
Oh shit, what's up, Vincent?
Believe in the heart of the spell card.
Hello? All right, last one, and then we have to move on. Oh, all right.
Sorry.
Where's that A?
Oh yeah, be good.
Things a little easier to help them As you can see, if you never really played Touhou before, anything is not the best place to start. Especially not Touhou.
Thank you everyone who participated. I apologize we couldn't have an MK here to die to Bucket Lily again.
World Wombat.
So Touhou is classified as the game genre of Danmaku game. So Danmaku literally means a curtain of bullets. As you can see in these GIF images, you can see like the bullets covering like 80% of the screen, and your job is, well, not so much to defeat the enemy. Well, you have to defeat the enemy, but more like dodging the bullets. So yeah, you can collect grade points by that.
Luckily, it is possible to dodge these bullets because your hitbox is a tiny little circle in the center. Otherwise, you'd be drunk.
Unless you're very brave and want to do subterranean animism with Reimu C, no focus.
Pacifist.
Like 3 times movement speed.
So this is a new segment to our panel. Dispersed throughout the panel, we'll have trivia questions, and then at the end we'll have a large trivia question. We'll kind of to fill time.
Sing along.
I'm disappointed in all of you.
I say,
Get on it.
Everyone within the last 5 years will know this.
That's right.
There's this goal press to be nobody knows. Cheers to the Titan.
Yeah.
I apologize, we're starting the trivia at easy mono.
Get stronger at the end.
As a quick survey, who all was this the first Touhou related thing they were ever exposed to?
I'm sorry, that's not McCoy. That's not
So these are the Windows Touhou games. As you can see, there are physical copies of these things.
really?
Not, rarely seen in the West. But you can import these from Japan.
You can also buy them from cons, from dealers' rooms, like Amazon sells a lot of Touhou games.
They average about $35 per game locally. We kind of get the raw end of the deal because at Comic-Con and whatnot, they usually go for only like 1,000 yen. So,
Yeah.
Zune was asked about this once. He's like, "You guys buy this for $35?"
so we're pretty sure Zoom knows how we get the games.
Really? So there are talks of maybe possibly localizing.
Though if you can, please support Zoom, please support the series, and buy legit copies of the games.
What about Boo? What about
I think
We will get to that part.
So, okay, so here are the original games. Not the fan games, the original games that Zoom made. So we first start with the PC98 games he created as amusement makers in the 90s, the late 90s. There are 5 of the games. We start with Highly Responsive to Prayers, which is not really a Danmaku game, more like an Arkanoid style game. And then starting with Story of Eastern Wonderland, he starts getting to the Danmaku genre. And
Touhou 3 was also sort of a...
What is that thing you said? That was not. What do you say? What kind of game it was?
Arkanoid.
It's an Arkanoid. So
Breakout.
Alright. Basically, you have to break bricks and dodge bullets at the same time. There are also bosses. Hit them with the in-game board.
It's pretty high.
It's easy. If you've not tried it, then check it out because it's really difficult.
so we move on to the Windows games. Well, here we have all the Windows games up to double dealing character listed, but they can also be divided into separate Windows eras. So Touhou 6 through 9 is considered Windows Era 1. So 10 through 13 is considered Windows Era 2. And possibly Touhou 14, the most recent game, might be the beginning of a new Windows era. Because it like, has no overlap with the earlier games. They might be starting on a new food. And also another thing about the Windows Era 1 games is that there were separate instances that are independent, like the Scarlet Mist instant, and the Never-Ending Winter, the Spring instant, and then there was the Moon instant, but they're all not connected. But starting with Touhou 10, Mountain of Faith, the earlier games start influencing the later games. Like in Mountain of Faith, the Warrior Shrine comes in and they start the instant of the Warrior Shrine moves in, and then they basically set up the background for the instant, the geyser instant of Subterranean Animism and so on. It's causing a cause and effect relationship.
Basically, Warrior Shrine did everything.
Warrior Shrine conspiracy.
Demons.
In addition, there are a number of point games, or side games, or whatever you want to call them. Mostly these are the fighting games and the photography games, which are photography games are pretty neat. Take pictures, erase bullets, and then you can't need to and not die. Let's see, and as well as Fairy Wars, which is separate from pretty much anything else because of this little ice mechanic, where you charge up ice, which can freeze bullets, and then those freeze other bullets, and basically the entire screen turns to ice, and you're the strongest.
So let's get into some brief history of Touhou. So as I said, he first started making these games in the late 90s on the platform of PC98. He released 5 games, but then he went on a hiatus shortly afterwards. He worked for a Taito corporation during that hiatus, then he made a massive return in 2002.
Graffiti Kingdom.
Graffiti Kingdom was there as well, but he made...
I was just saying, it had a cameo, early Rainbow cameo, just saying.
Yep, that's where he included Rainbow in there. So then he came back with the bottom of Scarlet Devil. But his first game, as I mentioned, is like an Arkanoid style game where you have to destroy all the blocks and some bosses, avoid Danmaku with a yin-yang orb. And then ever since then, it was all Danmaku style games, just like Ikaruga or 1945.
So the man himself is Zoom. His real name, Junya Ota. And as I'm sure everyone is aware of, he is extremely fond of beer. Story, like at AWA, there was only one time that I saw him that he did not have a beer on him. And people asked him, why don't you have a beer? He said, nobody gave me.
And I believe pictured here is Zun and his wife. Is that correct? Correct. Yes.
So yeah, Zun made his appearance at AWA. He actually designed this very T-shirt himself with his illustration.
Which they didn't see until after pre-ordering those shirts was over. Because I didn't know.
So jealous.
And as you'll notice, Tenchi is on the shirt. That's because Tenchi is associated with peaches, and Georgia is the peach state.
It's perfect.
And then yeah, he also proceeded to sign only 100 autographs. It was limited to 100 people, but I actually managed to get one of the tickets. And I'll manage to get one of my get this book signed by him.
Good job.
We can all start him like parsley. Potter.
Well, I did get a photo with him. He showed up. He didn't show up directly to the photo shoot, but he was like kind of hanging out on the fridges.
Yeah, and he also wandered around the convention center and like to take pictures with fellow Touhou fans. And I think a lot of people actually managed to get pictures with him.
He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah. Oh, there's me.
You've seen my sword.
I like that Marissa. The Marissa in the center.
Name you say with the Sierra right next to you.
Oh yeah, and there's him too.
And yes, this was the scroll that was produced by Touhou, aka Mark Keller. He hired a group of artists to draw Touhou characters on this large scroll. Like they basically unfolded the scroll at the second panel of Touhou and just kept going on and on and on and on and on. It took.
He was coming towards us. So there was a massive stop and reshoot.
Yeah.
And so on the first day of AWA, Zun had a Q&A panel. This was an opportunity for a lot of Western Touhou fans to ask him questions that are important to the fandom and find out more about him and
For
about
example,
the games.
which two Touhous would he want to be in a hot spring with?
This was an actual question that was posed.
What was the answer?
I believe he began by saying that he needed a lot of alcohol, but I believe the answer was Reimu and Marisa.
Why did he pick Suita? There's infinite booze right there.
A hot spring full of booze. Oh my gosh.
One might exist in Gensokyo.
I thought you did. There's some, he doesn't even draw booze.
So one of the early questions posed to him was how much time he put into each game that he creates. So he answered that it takes him about 4 months, and on average he makes one game a year. On the rare occasions where 2 Touhou games are released in 1 year, it's usually him collaborating with Tassafro or other companies. But
I think that this past Comic Con they released both 14 and 13.5 at the same, pretty much on the same day.
And he ended by saying that all the time he's awake while making games, he is either working or drinking beer. This is the latter.
So yeah, here was the obvious question that was coming up, and that was, what's his favorite beer? No, yeah, it's he knows it was an interview question, and well,
Though who knows?
yeah,
Just shout it out.
yeah, pretty much. He said, he just said like, yeah, everyone asks me this, and my favorite beer is Cheers, which is here. Stock up on this.
We will gladly accept donations of Kidding Beer.
I'm gonna buy it.
Another question posed was, during your stay in America, have you tried any new interesting beers? Yeah. The main lesson that we took out of this was more beer, less whiskey. I can totally get behind that.
So during his time in America, Zun tweeted a whole bunch of pictures. And so these are pictures he tweeted of his food. This is about the ratio of food to drink that he had. This is what we assume is the actual ratio that he's used to.
I like how there's just so many pictures of Zoom with gallons of beer.
Well then, he was also asked what kind of software does he use to make all those musics, those wonderful musics that he uses to character themes. Well, for his music, he uses a Roland SB90. He said it was pretty old, but he still likes to use it.
If you hear some songs in Perfect Cherry Blossom with those ridiculous trumpets, pretty much any Touhou game really. Trumpets everywhere. That is the culprit.
You can pick up one of those units for about $200 on eBay.
And set all of your music channels to Roland Romantic Trumpet.
There it is.
Picture straight from eBay.
Carpet.
Yeah, it's like pink checked carpet.
Oh yeah, so this I was not expecting the answer to this question, but somebody asked Zune about possibly localizing games, possibly putting them on Steam even, and he answered maybe.
Too long didn't read, maybe.
Well, yeah, it's not really certain that he's going to release it on Steam. When like the localization issue isn't really certain right now, so he said basically maybe to Steam as well.
Yeah, his reasoning for this was he does everything for the games by himself, but he doesn't have a great understanding of English, so he wouldn't be able to do his own translation. But there are fan patches. So.
And Zune has taken note of them. This was around the time that we figured that Zune knows how most of the Western fan base gets its games. So, if it isn't obvious, Zune is a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, as he's referenced the series several times throughout Touhou. So he was asked what his favorite line is in all of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and he has an interesting answer. The answer he gave was "Daga kotowaru," which is "but I won't." How many of you guys are familiar with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Excellent. Good. Well, this line comes from Part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Diamond is not Crash. This is the scene where the manga artist, who is the mangaka's self-insert, is captured by a stand known as Highway Star, and he bargains with Rohan that he would spare his life if he lured the protagonist Josuke into his trap, and he replies, "But I won't," which apparently is a very legendary phrase in the JoJo's fandom. When this happened, the fandom just began worshiping Rohan. And so here is an example of at least one reference in Touhou, in Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil. Remilia and Marisa copy this scene between the characters from Part 1 of JoJo's, Will A. Zappelli and Dio Grando. So as you can see, Zappelli is asking how many lives he's taken, or how many people's blood has he sucked, and so is Marisa asking, and both Remilia and Dio reply, "Do you remember how many pieces of bread?"
I could swear it was 13.
Yeah, I believe Marisa replies something like 7 or something, because he usually eats Japanese. And during AWA, the Western fan base got Zune to transcend humanity, to give up his humanity, and become something greater with the stone mask. For those who know JoJo's, for those who don't know, this is how Dio essentially became Dio that we all know.
A vampire.
There's also a ton of other JoJo's references in Touhou, especially in the fighting games. A number of alternate palettes and just kind of sprites in general.
As you can tell, a couple of us like JoJo's.
So yes, he was also asked, do you have any messages to leave to your fans? And he was basically really surprised that there was a huge Touhou fan base in America, and he did notice that a lot of us were crossdressers. And then yeah, he said he would basically show up for 3 days and take pictures with the fellow fans and have a good time with everyone. And in the meantime, he said he wanted to try to learn English.
The interesting thing about the guys cosplaying though is that it seemed like at the start he was kind of unsure about it, but towards the end he was like, yeah, this is okay.
And I believe one of the other questions posed to him was, we don't have listed here, is he asked if he would consider coming back to America.
And well, the answer is pretty much uncertain. So yeah, if anyone said something like, oh yeah, he's coming back to Anime Boston or Project Acon, then yeah, it's still uncertain. I know there's a friend of mine in Acon. He's trying to start a project. His name's Matthew Burkhart, and he's trying to invite Zoom to Acon. So yeah, he made a post in a Facebook group called Broho Project. Basically the Atlanta fan base.
But yes, so from what I understand, one of the conditions for coming to a U.S. convention was that he would be allowed to just enjoy the convention on his own, not be just holed up as a guest, and be constantly surrounded by hundreds of bodyguards and not be able to do anything. But during AWA, he really only had one handler with him, from what I understand. He was just found roaming the convention. As you can see here, many people were able to get his photograph.
That Zoom cosplayer was awesome.
The Zoom cosplayer, Zoom actually tweeted about, he said that he had found his doppelganger in Georgia. Now, do any of you know if that actually was beer in that mug, or there?
No, I thought it was not beer.
Oh, okay.
So he was not carrying beer.
Okay.
Only Zoom used to dance for.
More Jeopardy.
You see all those references about Shanghai 17? This is where it comes from.
What, isn't your Yukari 17?
Yes, Yukari is eternally 17.
I just felt down.
The hardcore fandom has sort of established where Gensokyo might be in relation to the outside world. And if anybody can find the map of this, I found it once on 4chan ages upon ages ago, and have not been able to find it since.
I have it on my laptop.
But actually, if you can link this on the Midwest Touhou fan page on Facebook.
There's also a Flash version floating around too.
Yeah, they also handed out a fan illustration of the map at AWA during the trivia panel. So if you have a copy of it, please take a picture of it and upload it somewhere at Midwest Touhou. And here's one of the fan drawings of Gensokyo.
So this is as of, I believe as of UFO. It doesn't have, I don't believe it has where the Taoists.
They don't have the mausoleum. Basically. They don't have the mausoleum of Tosa Umigami.
Oh, that's right, because the palette language hasn't settled on it.
Land new ships on the board.
And so as you can see, there's various famous locations around Gensokyo. Those of you who are familiar with the games would recognize the Misty Lake where Shirno presides, and then next to that is Scarlet Devil Mansion.
So yeah, that's the location where we have the events of embodiment of Scarlet Devil, and to the far west you can see the Hakukyoko Manor, which is where the events of Perfect Cherry Blossom took place.
Where did I didn't know where level 14 took place.
Floating castle.
It's a floating castle.
Castles and stuff. as sort of the general background of the games, this happened after PC 98. In the PC 98 era, there were no spell cards, but after a certain point, Wendy was like, I'm tired of kicking all these yokai butts in a boring way. We need to make this more beautiful. So she came up with a series of rules, the spell card rules, so that everyone had sort of an even balanced playing field to balance the yokai versus Rainbow, because she could basically just destroy anyone.
Axe sign, destroy everything.
And one of the best implementations I've seen of this in a doujin is 2 sacrifices under the starry sky by Flip-Flops. I recommend this doujin at every panel I give. If you like, it is probably the best retelling of Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil. It's called 2 Sacraments Under the Starry Sky. There's 2 parts to it.
Yeah. Can you count them? Let's see how many of them are there.
That's all.
So many characters. That's an exaggeration, but you get the point.
There's actually roughly over 120 characters in total.
128.
Oh, there's specific. Thank you, Ace. Thank you very much.
All right. So this is sort of an offshoot of the yokai origins that I did for last year's panel. As you may know, Zun takes his characters from yokai and Japanese mythology, and more recently, even Japanese characters and people in Japanese history. So, if anyone could you tell me who this character is in the Touhou fandom?
Miko.
Yeah,
That is correct.
Prince Shotoku.
Actually, you deserve pocket for that.
Strawberry.
Toyota no Miko. Miko would have been very disappointed if you got that wrong.
A little bit.
So Toyosato Mimi no Miko is based on Prince Shotoku, who's the historical crown prince of Japan during the Asuka period from 574 to 622. That sounds right. Yeah, and he is, I believe, he is considered a direct descendant of the deity Amaterasu. I believe most of the emperors and royalty are considered related to the creation deities. So Toyosato Mimi is actually a nickname that Prince Shotoku had. It comes from Prince Shotoku's legendary ability to be able to understand the desires of 10 people all at once and reply to them perfectly. Thus the title 10 Desires. Miko wears the earmuffs in order to muffle out all of that sound so that she doesn't have to deal with it all the time. And it also makes her look stylish and like Neku for more than it's
Oh, and the reason that she historically is a guy but shows up as a girl in the Touhou universe is, I believe, in Touhou, she was always a girl and just nobody really noticed.
Actually, I'm going with the gender bending theory.
There have been some females that kept a male pronoun, or male titles.
Yes, and also Zoom was actually asked if he would ever include a male character into the Touhou games themselves, and Zun replied that men would ruin everything. This is an actual thing he said.
And say if we assume then that once Miko entered Gensokyo, he transformed into a girl.
Possible.
Though there were male humans in the background of 10 Desires. They just stood there and were like, yay.
I'm still going with the gender bending theory.
Good to know.
Actually, this is just something I saw that people were theorizing from some of the information on the hermits in the Touhou universe. Some of them were said to take on different forms after they achieved enlightenment. And Miko and her servant Futo, they just Futo's is the same, but Miko took on a different form. So some people were theorizing maybe she was a guy in the past, so she just decided, hey, I want to be a girl now.
I can get behind that.
If you know what I mean.
You don't wear a sweet dress.
It's good.
Hey yo.
Get to look at.
All right. Okay. So who knows who this is?
Minogi no Fudo?
You don't know. No.
You behind that?
Kaguya?
Yes. Princess Kaguya. This is a picture. This is a painting of. I believe this is a painting right before she leaves for the moon. Not Japan, the actual moon. So in Japanese mythology, she comes from the tale I can't speak. That the tale of the bamboo cutter. The story goes, an old bamboo cutter was out in the woods, and he found a glowing bamboo stalk, which when he cut it, he found a very tiny girl about the size of your palm. And he decided to raise this girl, and she grew to a normal size and was said to be astoundingly beautiful. Eventually, I believe eventually when the bamboo cutter went back into the bamboo thicket, he would continue to find glowing bamboo stalks, but each time he cut those, there would be large amounts of gold in there. And from there, he raised his new daughter, and they essentially became royalty. Not quite royalty, but close enough. Noble, yes. And tales of her beauty spread far and wide, and so princes and suitors from all around came by to try to ask her hand in marriage, so Kaguya set out to these suitors. Five impossible plans. Yes, I don't remember exactly what they all were, but one was the dragon scale, the burning grass fir, and there were some other jewel branches. Those are the three I remember. There were two others. But in Touhou fandom, or in the Touhou background, this is actually how it is assumed that this is how Moko's father was killed. One of the suitors actually died trying to accomplish this impossible, one of the impossible tasks. I believe one just gave up, and then the others brought back fakes. Eventually, ambassadors from the moon came to bring Kaguya back, and there was a sad farewell. And I believe the emperor of Japan at the time even came to try to marry Kaguya, but after the moon people came, he had a memorial held on the closest point to the moon, which he later named Mount Fuji. So, this is essentially to give you an idea about how small Kaguya was when she was found. This is actually a movie poster for Hayao Miyazaki's final film. He's still alive.
I know.
But he retired. He retired. The film is already out in Japan. I believe it's coming out sometime next year here. But yeah, it chronicles the tale of the bamboo cutter and Princess Kaguya. Okay, so more art history lesson. Who knows who the woman is pictured on the left?
The operator.
Attack on Titan. Yes, that is correct. So pictured here is Byakuren and her younger brother Myorin, the monk. They're both actually mentioned in Japanese history in the Shikisan Engi Imaki. There is a tale of apparently there's actually various tales about Myorin. Only a couple about his elder sister. But the tale of his sister is that Myorin had left to become an ascetic monk, and Byakuren had not seen him for years. So she set off on essentially a journey, a quest, a pilgrimage to reunite with her brother. And the picture that we just showed was where they finally reunited and they lived together until the end of their lives. This picture here is actually of Byakuren, or more accurately, just the sister of Myorin, in various poses, praying at the foot of the Great Buddha, asking for a sign to guide her to where her brother might be. Obviously, eventually, she does find him.
Who's that?
5 magic shows.
Yes.
Yes, 5 magic.
Yeah, that's how I know. How do you think that? Oh, God.
And just for everyone's information, could you tell us all which game that
Mystic Square?
So
it's not Mystic Square.
I have no idea.
It's Story of Wonderland, yes.
Alright,
Stage 3.
Because it's the tank girl and then the sword girl.
And now let's get into fanworks. So listen here, Advance Journal, and various other illustrations. And there's Touhou Mother, that unforgettable game.
Who has played Touhou Mother?
I watched a playthrough of it by Nakatsu.
That was good. Actually, that part where he like switches sprites, or where like he updates the game, like I made like half those sprites. Like honestly. Okay. Me and my little brother. Who likes the Earthbound series? You all need to do yourselves favors and download and play Touhou Mother. It is amazing. It is available translated on Fiji Boy's website, I believe, and it is amazing. It goes through all. It has references to all the games in the Touhou series, even the PC-98 ones. It has references to all 3 Mother games.
And some other
yes, the plot, for those who know Earthbound and Mother, the plot plays out somewhat similar to the plot of the 3rd game, Mother 3, just to give you a little insight. And so, as you all know, there are also other Touhou games. We have a couple on hand. Also we still don't have controllers. But
I got controllers.
I got some too.
do you have controllers?
Yeah.
Do you have at least one?
Yeah, Logitech or USB converters.
Logitech would be amazing.
Yes, 2 controllers.
Oh.
Right.
Wow.
College.
Wow.
Some of the panelists came.
All right, 1 second.
All right.
Let the newbie try.
I see a Touhou hack and slash.
Oh, you did?
How are we supposed to use the game?
What?
It's a USB game.
What?
It's awesome.
What?
Oh, look at you.
That is awesome.
What is that thing? What is this box? What is this magical box?
Magic.
Where can I buy one?
Sorcery.
They don't make them anymore. Because they use
I
the
want
next
to take it
factory.
apart and research it and then sell it as Kappa product.
Have a conspiracy.
Name your company.
I feel like we should do. Oh, they've already done this. We'll come back.
There we go. Old school.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Zuby trying it.
What's wrong with their color?
Try the D-pad. Try the...
Wiggle the D-pad.
Oh no!
Better on that. Tap is confused by the technology.
Alright. Who wants to play?
Hit alt enter. Make it full screen.
That is weird.
Mommy zone? Sorry, the mommy zone?
No.
Are we alright? Alright, mommy zone? Okay, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
They have side scrollers and Touhou.
Yeah, this is a pretty good game.
Let's not forget about splatter fate.
There's two characters you can choose between Marisa and Alex. And each of them get different powers depending on what bosses you kill.
And plus, you can decide to focus on that.
Basically, Marissa shoots bullets and Atlas shoots her laser. Just like in Persona 9. The voice actor is
There you go. Oh my gosh.
Kill faster, damn it.
Well, yeah, Alice takes longer to kill because the lasers are weaker, actually.
Well, it goes from all the players, so it's kind of already
Yeah, Brian, you're weak.
I'm not weak. I won't spend my power because if I do, no.
That's what they all say.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
Although I got destroyed by Raven. There's a ton of Touhou fan games out there. Oh, if you want to leave those games to try, here we go. What's it? Damage Touhou, where people can just make their own Touhou game.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
But only this players can cause. We can just make it.
So, as you can see in this game, Monster can get items and turn into and cosplay other characters and get their powers. Characters include Reimu Tenchi, Suwato, Kureisha.
Correct. And don't forget about the UFO when he hits the mushroom in the U3.
It's a little more exciting.
I heard that.
You can do it!
That's it.
I love you!
Yeah, the star power in this game, when you turn invincible, Grace is like, it's really big.
Oh, God. Is it Marshall Honesty?
No, it's not. It's not showing
We apologize about the music. For some reason, it just, decided to do this.
Stage clear.
Stay clear. Woo!
Touhou-mania 2. Yes!
Touhou soccer.
Like Touhou-mania? I thought I saw something. Hack and slash!
Yeah, so Touhou Soccer is kind of like an RPG, and the game lasts really long. And all I can say is that the AI is rigged.
You should watch you can watch the cutscenes of the soccer ball shots on YouTube, and some of those are ridiculous. It's like, oh, I'm going to score a goal. Let me destroy the entire planet.
Yeah, like half of those involve like destroying the Earth, like cutting the moon in half, destroying an international space station.
Soccer is serious business.
You know what? Let's do a fighting game.
Cheers for this one.
Let the newbie go.
Oh yeah, so the last girl, yes, you.
Hey, dude! I get to try a Touhou game.
You all the way in the back.
Oh, wow.
Screw you, ABG! Oh no! Screw ABG!
Protect me!
Wow. It lies! Virus! ABG's a virus!
So in case you've never played a Touhou fighting game before, there are a lot of different fighting games where there's a lot more projectiles in this game than what you would expect from Touhou, but you can dash through projectiles. If someone shoots a wall of bullets at you, you can just run forwards. And then they'll hit you with a melee attack and you will die. Well, that's generally the way it goes. Bullets, graze, and then melee does not get grazed. And you can fly. That's cool.
Don't forget to cover spell card usage.
So the supers in this game, whereas most standard fighting games, you like set a thing ahead of time where you build a meteor and then you can use this thing. In this game, you have a deck of spell cards where you can rotate through. Yeah, there's 20 of them, and you can choose like different skills, which will change different special attacks, or you can use powerful spell cards.
Or system cards that'll boost your defense or attack or other things.
Yep. But the spell cards are based off of in-game spell cards, like Youmacon has this counter that is this giant cloud.
Yes! All the way. Up to 11. More.
This. There we go.
Juice wake up! Oh, you can't. Suwako!
There's 20 characters in this game, but some of them aren't unlocked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice job!
Yeah, we transferred this to another computer or something. Well, you want the save file? Well, yeah, because
And I have my computer, so need it.
This is circle right there. And it's a sequel to what it's like. And you have to have the same data from the other one as the character. So we're missing my favorite character.
Suwako!
I'll accept one of these three.
Touhou! Suwako!
We got an arcane back there.
Suwako! Just do it!
Yeah, unfortunately, since you can do a lot of customization with like the card deck system in this game, but it doesn't really lend itself well to tournaments because then everyone has to work with their characters and have free decks. Random selections.
No Mirror Man! No Mirror Man!
Those are different decks, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter at all.
Especially if you're different decks, before just choose any deck. One of these dragons will do it.
So the triangles are versus
Yes! No! Touhou versus Cerno!
Yeah.
Shoes out! Just shoes out!
Oh, there we go. Good.
Cerno and Alex.
Wow.
Tokyo's release is coming. I think Sakuya has a color palette.
Yesterday was not.
I think that's what was next right settings open arcade. Oh yeah, that amazing thing. Yeah, so if you haven't heard of this Easter egg, Rainbow has a ridiculous spell card where once you use it, it's basically an instant kill.
Like you have to do it on the final round.
You can do it on the final round, and if you do round 3 or 3, then it'll play a version of Hokutono Ken's Fatal KO. And it's remixed with rhythm.
Also, yes, this game has these interesting like weather effects. Right now, it's the scorching sun effect, which is basically you take a health point drain when you're in the air.
Like you gain spell first.
Here's when you start getting touching the camera.
Hold back the bar.
I'll
show you because it's
I can't figure out how I got this.
Countercharge. Oh.
And the heavy fog basically starts draining your opponent's health to replenish your own health points, as you can see.
It's a bit silly when Vermilia's playing. Become like a vampire.
Yeah, I saw, yeah. You see, Oku is getting her health points back from here.
Use this foil.
I am the world's worst gamer. I am sorry.
Smash punches repeatedly.
I am!
That was a beautiful replay.
Round of applause for
One more character
Oh yeah, he's over there. That's louder. Yeah. I have the gentleman here.
Oh, yay.
And it's a shameless self-plug. If you look on YouTube for, I think it's Philosophy, Touhou panel, at the end there's a Touhou match, which is amazing. It was so nice.
Yeah, screw you. I wanted to fight that guy. I wanted revenge. I wanted revenge. You denied me that chance.
I don't know that there's any regret. I doubt there's a lot of fun stuff.
Youmacon!
Alright, pray. Casually. Oh shit! Sure, let's go for it.
That's two characters in the game.
They are.
I can't say. Slush is difficult but awesome.
Here we go.
I think the strongest version of most secret.
At least you got to heal.
You guys usually lots of blocks.
As soon as we're going to go underground into matches.
She also hops.
Oh yeah. Instead of flying, she just kind of flaps around.
Oh!
Crazy. Anyway, as soon as that's attack is going to be any state person is going to go to the game.
How's the sun in the library?
Magic.
There's a hole in a roof.
It's from Marissa.
And why is there sun? Is this Scarlet Devil magic?
You know how Marissa likes to steal cat and borrow people.
Well, I guess it is a pretty large library. We couldn't have worked like it.
Looks like it's kind of fun. Yeah. Hopefully playing this. Something on its Touhou like that.
Bring you back. Salty run back. Salty run back. Salty cupcake.
Take a salty bath. Take a salty bath.
Salty bath. I can't read it over here. Nice wrong girl.
I think this is the worst weather. There's no good sun at all. So basically just sit there and mash I don't even know what that was.
Free for fire. Where's the number? I mean, typhoon. Monsoon just brought it down.
Try some combo attack on
You can do it, Youmacon.
This is
I'm leaving you to it.
I'm excited. See, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. Seems like something Sana would say.
So, and again, those new to the series, this is an official Touhou game. This is a collaboration between Zun and Twilight Frontier.
Good game. I'm not good with this.
Yeah, they've made all the fighting games. 7.5.
All right, and among other fan works, there are also fan videos.
TVs. And, you know, fan arrangements.
Others.
Like the lion's share of fans.
Yes.
Familiar with IOSIS? Yeah. Yes. David's trying to catch comments.
Does anyone know the dance?
Anybody know the dance?
All right, thriller.
Do it. Yeah, do thriller,
There we go.
Let's do Blazing Heart.
Amazing.